If you think you already understand how flying works, take a moment and really pay attention, because the way people travel internationally and even domestically is shifting in a big way. As we move into early 2026, several changes are coming into effect that could affect everything from how you get through airport security to whether you're even allowed to board your flight. This isn't just about packing smarter or arriving early. It's about making sure you meet new requirements that didn't exist before or weren't strictly enforced until now. Over the past year, there's been a lot of talk about updated ID requirements, new digital travel permissions, and airline policy adjustments. Now, those conversations are turning into firm timelines. Starting in early 2026, travelers who rely on old habits may run into unexpected problems. Some could face extra screening delays, others might be turned away at the airport, and some may even need to pay additional costs just to continue their journey. One of the most talked about topics has been identification for domestic flights in the United States. For years, people have heard about the requirement for upgraded identification cards, often marked with a special symbol. While earlier enforcement was lenient, the expectation moving forward is that travelers must present proper identification that meets federal standards or use a valid passport. If you arrive at the airport without acceptable ID, the process becomes more complicated, involving additional identity checks and possible delays. Relying on exceptions is no longer a smart strategy, especially if you're traveling on a tight schedule. For international trips, new digital permissions are becoming increasingly important. If you are heading to the United Kingdom, including places like England or Scotland, you will need to secure an electronic travel authorization before your departure. This approval must be completed online and linked to your passport. Airlines are expected to verify this before issuing a boarding pass, meaning you cannot simply handle it at the airport. Even passengers just passing through a UK airport on their way to another destination may still need this authorization. So it's essential to prepare in advance. At the same time, travel within Europe is also evolving. A new border system is being introduced that replaces a traditional passport stamp with biometric checks. Instead of handing your passport to an officer and receiving a stamp, you'll interact with a kiosk where your facial image and fingerprints are scanned. This system automatically records how long you stay in the region. It removes guesswork and ensures that travelers do not exceed allowed time limits. While this technology is designed to streamline the process, it may take some getting used to, especially for those unfamiliar with self-service systems. There's also a separate European travel authorization system planned for future, though it is not required at the beginning of 2026. When it does launch, travelers will need to apply online before visiting many European countries. The process is expected to be simple and affordable, and certain groups, such as older travelers, may not have to pay the fee at all. Still, it's important to stay informed so you know exactly when it becomes mandatory. Outside of Europe, some countries have already reintroduced entry requirements that travelers might not expect. For example, trips to Brazil now require an electronic visa application in advance. This process involves submitting documents and paying a fee before your trip. If you arrive without completing this step, you may not be allowed to board your flight or join your cruise. Airlines themselves are also making adjustments. Some carriers are experimenting with changes to seating policies and boarding procedures. In cases where airlines move toward assigned seating instead of open seating, passengers will need to choose their seats earlier in the booking process. This can introduce additional costs, especially for preferred locations like the front of the plane or seats with extra legroom. Travelers who are used to flexible seating arrangements may need to adapt to a more structured system. Passengers with specific needs should also be aware of updated rules regarding onboard equipment. Devices powered by lithium-ion batteries, such as mobility scooters, must meet certain safety limits. If a battery exceeds the allowed capacity, it may not be permitted on the aircraft. Checking these specifications ahead of time is critical to avoid last-minute complications at the airport. Not all updates are restrictive, though. Some changes actually benefit travelers. New regulations have strengthened passenger rights when it comes to flight disruptions. If your flight is significantly delayed or altered and you decide not to travel, you are entitled to receive your money back instead of being forced to accept a voucher. This gives travelers more control and ensures fair treatment when plans don't go as expected. There are also improvements in how certain administrative tasks are handled. Passport renewal, for instance, is becoming more convenient with expanded online options. Eligible travelers can complete the process digitally without needing to mail documents or visit an office. This makes it easier to keep your travel documents up to date, which is especially important given that many countries require passports to remain valid for several months beyond your travel dates. In addition to official rules, there are smaller practical considerations that can impact your experience. Airport security technology is becoming more advanced, meaning items that appear unusual on scanners may attract extra attention. Travelers should pack carefully and avoid trying to bypass baggage rules in creative ways, as this can slow them down and lead to additional inspections. Health and comfort are also worth considering. The conditions inside an aircraft cabin can affect how you experience food and hydration. Because of altitude and cabin pressure, your sense of taste changes, and food may contain higher levels of salt than expected. Bringing your own snacks or being mindful of what you consume can help you stay comfortable during your journey. Airports themselves are designed in ways that influence how passengers move and spend time. After clearing security, you may find yourself walking through retail areas before reaching your gate. These layouts can be tiring, especially during long travel days. So it's helpful to look for shortcuts such as elevators or direct pathways that lead to your departure area more efficiently. As you prepare for travel in 2026, the key is awareness. Make sure your identification is valid and meets requirements. Apply for any necessary travel authorizations well before your departure date. Review airline policies carefully, especially if you have specific seating or equipment needs. Keep your passport current and double-check expiration dates. And finally, understand your rights so you can make informed decisions if something goes wrong. Travel is not becoming impossible, but it is becoming more structured and rule-driven. Those who stay informed and plan ahead will have smooth journeys, while those who rely on outdated assumptions may encounter unnecessary stress. Taking a little extra time to prepare now can save you from major disruptions later, ensuring that your trip begins and ends exactly as it should.